Olivia Bennett had perfected the art of invisibility. Every morning at 6:30, she would arrive at the gleaming tower of Sterling Global, her brown hair pulled into a neat bun, wearing one of her conservative navy or gray suits. She moved through the marble lobby like a shadow, nodding politely to security before taking the executive elevator to the 42nd floor. For 3 years, she had been the executive assistant to Nathan Sterling, the youngest billionaire CEO in the tech industry. At 34, Nathan had built an empire from a college dorm room idea, and now Sterling Global dominated the market. He was brilliant, demanding, and completely unaware that his mousy assistant harbored a secret that would make him see her in an entirely different light. During business hours, Olivia was the picture of professional efficiency. She managed Nathan's impossible schedule, handled crisis after crisis with calm precision, and anticipated his needs before he voiced them. Nathan trusted her completely, often saying she was the only person who truly understood how his mind worked. But when the clock struck 6 and Olivia returned to her modest apartment across town, she transformed into someone else entirely. She became Midnight Inc., an anonymous blogger with over 50,000 followers who eagerly awaited her steamy romance stories about a powerful CEO named Dominic Stone. Olivia had started the blog 2 years ago as a creative outlet, never imagining it would gain such a devoted audience. Her stories featured Dominic, a commanding billionaire with piercing green eyes, dark hair that fell perfectly into place, and a presence that commanded any room he entered. The protagonist was always a woman who saw beyond his wealth and power to the complex man underneath. What her thousands of readers did not know was that Dominic Stone was not purely fictional. Every detail was carefully observed from Nathan Sterling. The way he drummed his fingers on his desk when thinking, how he loosened his tie during late meetings, the rare, devastating smile that appeared when something genuinely amused him, even the small scar above his left eyebrow from a childhood accident. Olivia told herself it was harmless. Nathan would never discover her blog, and writing these stories was the only way she could express the feelings she had buried deep inside. She was hopelessly attracted to her boss, but she valued her job and her dignity too much to ever act on those feelings. Her most popular story had generated over 3,000 comments. It depicted Dominic finally admitting his feelings during a late night at the office, pulling the protagonist into a passionate embrace against the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Readers called it the most romantic scene they had ever read. That Wednesday started like any other. Olivia arrived early, prepared Nathan's preferred coffee, black, no sugar, extra hot, and reviewed his schedule. 3 board meetings, 2 conference calls, and a working lunch with investors. Nathan arrived at 8 sharp, his dark hair still damp from his morning workout, his tailored charcoal suit fitting him perfectly. Those green eyes barely glanced at her as he accepted the coffee with a distracted, "Thanks, Olivia," before disappearing into his office. She had written a new chapter the night before, one where Dominic surprised the protagonist with a spontaneous trip to his private beach house. The comments section was already exploding with enthusiasm, and Olivia found herself checking the blog on her phone during her coffee break, smiling at the reactions. At noon, Nathan emerged for his lunch meeting. Olivia gathered her things to take her own lunch break, but in her distracted state, she made a critical error. She left her personal tablet on her desk, the screen still glowing with her blog's dashboard open. Nathan returned from lunch earlier than expected, a deal having fallen through at the last minute. He strode toward Olivia's empty desk to leave a note about rescheduling, but his eyes caught the illuminated screen. He should have looked away, he knew that, but the words Midnight Inc., Chapter 47 drew his attention, and then he saw the name Dominic Stone. Curiosity overrode propriety. Nathan sat in Olivia's chair and began to read. His heart rate increased with every sentence. Dominic Stone had green eyes. Dominic Stone ran his hand through his hair when frustrated. Dominic Stone had a scar above his left eyebrow. The office described in meticulous detail was his office, down to the specific artwork on the walls. Nathan scrolled through post after post, recognition dawning with increasing clarity. His quiet, efficient assistant had been writing elaborate romantic fantasies about him for 2 years. The stories were beautifully written, emotionally complex, and undeniably sensual. He found himself reading the most popular chapter, the one with 3,000 comments. His breath caught as he read Dominic's confession, the raw emotion in the scene, the detailed way the protagonist responded. This was how Olivia saw him? This was what she imagined? He heard footsteps approaching and quickly straightened, leaving the tablet exactly as he had found it. Olivia appeared carrying a sandwich, her eyes on her phone. When she looked up and saw him standing by her desk, all color drained from her face. Her gaze immediately went to the glowing tablet screen. "Mr. Sterling, she began, but no words came. Nathan made a decision in that split second. He picked up the tablet, held it carefully, and said in his calm, controlled CEO voice, "Olivia, I need you in my office immediately. We have something very important to discuss." Olivia felt her world tilting. Her career, her privacy, everything was about to come crashing down. She followed Nathan into his office on trembling legs, watching as he closed the door with a decisive click that sounded like the end of everything she had built. He placed the tablet on his desk between them and finally met her eyes. What she saw there was not anger, but something far more complicated and infinitely more terrifying.
Olivia stood frozen in Nathan Sterling's office, her heart pounding so violently she was certain he could hear it. The tablet sat on his mahogany desk like evidence at a trial, the screen still glowing with her secret identity exposed for the world to see. Well, not the world, just the one person who mattered most. Nathan remained silent for what felt like an eternity, those piercing green eyes studying her with an intensity that made her want to disappear into the expensive carpet beneath her feet. He leaned against his desk, arms crossed, his posture relaxed in a way that seemed almost dangerous. "How long have you been writing this blog?" he finally asked, his voice unnervingly calm. Olivia swallowed hard. 2 years. "Mr. Sterling, I'm so deeply sorry. I never intended for anyone to find out, especially not you. I'll resign immediately. I can have my desk cleared within the hour." "Stop." Nathan held up one hand. "You're not resigning." Confusion flooded through her panic. "I'm not?" "No." He picked up the tablet and scrolled through several posts, his expression unreadable. "I've spent the last 30 minutes reading your work, Olivia. Do you know what I discovered?" She wanted to die right there. "That I'm completely unprofessional and invaded your privacy in the worst possible way?" A slight smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "That you're an exceptionally talented writer. Your storytelling is captivating. The emotional depth you bring to these characters is remarkable." Olivia blinked. This was not the reaction she had anticipated. "Thank you, but that doesn't change the fact that I used you as inspiration without your permission. It was wrong." Nathan set the tablet down and took a step closer. "You're right, it was an invasion of sorts, but I'm more interested in why you did it than in punishing you for it." "I don't understand what you're asking." "I'm asking if these stories, these detailed scenarios about Dominic Stone, reflect something real, something you feel." His voice dropped lower, more intimate. "Because the level of observation required to capture someone this accurately suggests more than casual interest." Heat flooded Olivia's cheeks. She had never been good at lying, and standing this close to Nathan, with those perceptive eyes seeing straight through her defenses, made deception impossible. "I may have developed feelings that are entirely inappropriate given our professional relationship," she admitted quietly, forcing herself to maintain eye contact. "But I never acted on them. The blog was my way of channeling those feelings into something creative rather than allowing them to interfere with my work." Nathan was quiet for a moment, processing her confession. Then he did something that shocked her completely. He laughed. Not mockingly, but with genuine amusement tinged with something that sounded almost like relief. "Do you know how long I've been trying to figure out if you saw me as anything more than your boss?" he asked, shaking his head. "I've spent 3 years watching you, Olivia. The way you bite your lower lip when you're concentrating, how you always wear that silver bracelet on Fridays, the fact that you take your coffee with honey instead of sugar because you read somewhere it's healthier. Olivia's breath caught. You noticed those things? I notice everything about you. Nathan moved closer, eliminating more of the distance between them. I've wanted to tell you how I felt for over a year, but I was terrified of making you uncomfortable or abusing my position as your employer, so I stayed professional, kept my distance, and convinced myself that what I felt would eventually fade. It didn't fade? Olivia whispered. Not even slightly. His hand reached up, hesitating for just a moment before gently touching her cheek. Reading your stories today was the most surreal experience of my life. Seeing myself through your eyes, understanding that you've been feeling the same impossible attraction I've been fighting against, it changes everything. Olivia leaned into his touch, despite every professional instinct screaming at her to step back. What are you saying, Nathan? I'm saying I have a proposal for you. His thumb traced along her jawline, sending shivers down her spine. You continue writing your blog as Midnight Ink. You keep creating these beautiful stories, but there's one condition. What condition? You write them for me. Before you publish anything new, you send it to me first. Let me read every word, every scene, every fantasy you've imagined. And then, if you're willing, we explore which of those fantasies we want to bring into reality, together. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. You're suggesting we act on this attraction? I'm suggesting we stop pretending it doesn't exist. Nathan's other hand came to rest on her waist, a gentle pressure that felt both foreign and completely natural. There are company policies about workplace relationships, fraternization between executives and their assistants. I'm aware of the policies. I wrote half of them. Nathan smiled. We'll disclose our relationship to human resources as required. We'll maintain absolute professionalism during business hours. And at any point you feel uncomfortable or want to stop, we stop. No questions asked, no impact on your position here. You've thought this through. I had 30 minutes while you were at lunch to think about very little else. His expression grew more serious. But I need to know what you want, Olivia, not what you think is appropriate nor what the policies say. What do you actually want? It was the most terrifying question anyone had ever asked her, because answering honestly meant admitting to desires she had only allowed herself to explore in fiction. But looking into Nathan's eyes, seeing the vulnerability beneath his confident exterior, Olivia realized that hiding was no longer an option. I may have developed feelings that are entirely inappropriate given our professional relationship, she admitted quietly, forcing herself to maintain eye contact. But I never acted on them. The blog was my way of channeling those feelings into something creative rather than allowing them to interfere with my work. Nathan was quiet for
The restaurant Nathan chose was tucked away on a quiet street far from the business district, the kind of place that valued privacy above publicity. Olivia arrived 15 minutes early, her nerves getting the better of her punctuality. She had changed from her work clothes into a simple emerald dress that brought out the warm tones in her brown hair, which she had finally released from its perpetual bun. When Nathan walked through the door, his eyes found her immediately. He had also changed, trading his corporate armor for dark jeans and a fitted black sweater that made him look younger, more approachable, more like the man from her stories than the intimidating CEO from the office. "You look beautiful," he said as he sat across from her, his voice carrying a warmth she rarely heard during business hours. "Thank you. You look different without the suit." Nathan smiled. "Different good or different bad?" "Different real," Olivia answered honestly, like I'm finally seeing Nathan Sterling, the person, instead of Nathan Sterling, the CEO. Something shifted in his expression, a vulnerability breaking through. "That's exactly what I was hoping for tonight. No titles, no office dynamics, just two people getting to know each other without the usual barriers." The waiter appeared, took their orders, and disappeared with practiced discretion. Olivia found herself studying Nathan in this new context, noticing things she had observed 1,000 times but never allowed herself to truly appreciate. The way his eyes crinkled slightly when he smiled, the small dimple that appeared in his left cheek, the casual elegance of his movements. "You're doing it again," Nathan said softly. "Doing what?" "Observing.
taking mental notes. I can practically see you cataloging details for your next story." His tone was teasing but affectionate. Olivia felt heat rise to her cheeks. "Sorry, occupational hazard of being a writer, I suppose." "Don't apologize. I find it fascinating." Nathan leaned forward, his elbows on the table. "Actually, I've been wanting to ask you about your writing. When did you start? Not just the blog, but writing in general." The question surprised her. In 3 years of working together, Nathan had never asked about her personal interests or hobbies, but then again, she had never given him reason to believe she had any. "I've been writing since I was 8 years old," Olivia said, relaxing slightly. "My mother gave me a journal for my birthday, and I filled it with stories about magical worlds and brave heroines. It became my escape, especially after my father left. Writing was the one place where I had complete control over how things turned out." Nathan's expression grew serious. "I didn't know about your father. I'm sorry." "It was a long time ago, but it shaped how I see the world, I think. I learned early that real life doesn't always have happy endings, so I created them in my stories instead." She paused, considering whether to continue, then decided honesty was the foundation they needed. "The blog started as therapy, actually. I had just ended a relationship that left me feeling invisible and undervalued. Writing about a woman who was truly seen by someone powerful and successful helped me remember my own worth." "And yet you made yourself invisible at work," Nathan observed gently. "The conservative clothes, the reserved demeanor, you hid yourself." "I thought that's what professional meant. Blend in, don't cause disruptions, be efficient but unremarkable." Olivia met his eyes. "It wasn't until I started writing about Dominic Stone that I realized how much I was hiding. Creating a character who noticed everything about the protagonist forced me to acknowledge how much I wanted to be noticed myself." Nathan reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "I noticed you, Olivia, from the very first day you interviewed for the position. You walked into my office wearing a gray suit identical to the one you wore today, your hair in that same bun, and you looked terrified. But when I asked you a complex question about managing conflicting priorities, your entire face lit up. You didn't just answer, you understood the deeper challenge I was really asking about. In that moment, I knew you were special." "Then why did you never say anything?" "Because I was your boss. Because I didn't want to be another powerful man who made his assistant uncomfortable with unwanted attention. Because I respected you too much to put you in that position." His thumb traced small circles on her hand. "And maybe because I was scared. Scared that if I acknowledged what I felt, I would lose the one person who made my chaotic life manageable." Their food arrived, temporarily interrupting the intensity of the conversation. They ate slowly, trading stories about their childhoods, their dreams, the experiences that had shaped them. Olivia learned that Nathan's drive came from growing up watching his single mother work 3 jobs to support them. He learned that Olivia's love of organization stemmed from the chaos of her childhood, where stability was a luxury they couldn't afford. "Can I ask you something?" Nathan said as they finished dessert. "In your stories, Dominic eventually tells the protagonist that he's been in love with her for years. Is that wish fulfillment, or is that how you imagine real relationships develop?" Olivia considered the question carefully. "I think it's both. Part of me wants to believe that love can exist quietly, growing stronger over time even when unexpressed, but another part of me knows that real relationships require communication and courage. Dominic waits too long in the stories. He almost loses her because he's too afraid to be vulnerable." "Are you afraid right now? Of this? Of us?" "Terrified," Olivia admitted. "Everything changed so quickly today. This morning, I was your invisible assistant with a secret blog. Tonight, I'm sitting across from you at dinner, holding your hand, having the most honest conversation I've had in years. It feels like standing on the edge of something enormous, and I'm not sure if I'm about to fly or fall." Nathan squeezed her hand gently. "What if I told you I'm just as terrified too? I've built a billion-dollar company, negotiated with some of the most powerful people in the world, but sitting here with you right now is the most nervous I've been in my entire life." "Really?" "Really. Because business